When it comes to actual playing tabletop role-playing games, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked when you're ready to begin that next campaign. Are we going to use minis, maps, theater of the mind, or what about the various other resources out there?
Hi, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Roland. And welcome to Twin Dragons.
Welcome to our channel where we discuss everything tabletop role-playing games and more. Well, how about we just start with the most basic and kind of build up from there?
Okay, fair enough. I think the beginning should be theater of the mind.
Can't get more basic than that.
You can't, right? Or is it actually basic? Well, think of this, right? Theater of the mind is when you actually have to project the images into the actual imagination in the mind of your players, right? So when you start talking about the scene and you're setting it up, you have to give details of the various terrain, or maybe they're inside a throne room and you're saying that there's great braziers of fire going next to the throne, and you have to set that image for your players. Is that actually the least complex thing to do?
You're right. That actually could pose challenges for especially newer DMs or someone who's not comfortable in going detailed to create that scene. So maybe it's not the most basic. Maybe that's actually can be the more challenging.
Even though it's probably a little bit more challenging and causes the need for a little bit more creativity on the game master's side, I do think that it actually allows the most flexibility. You don't need, at that point, you don't need a horde of minis and like tables and libraries of maps to roll out for every specific scenario. Maybe you can't find the right map for the right situation and for the right scene that you really want to portray. Sometimes you just gotta use that creativity and just kind of tell it to your players. Set the scene for them. Be as an author or a narrator from a book and really get that image into their heads. So then they can use their own imaginations and kind of see what you're talking about. Let them be guided by your words into that scenario or scene.
One of the things I love about Theater of the Mind is that not only do you just paint the image of a scene, but think about battle situations. Imagine you're in combat. Now you're truly like fleshing out what that combat looks like, narrating the swinging axe of the orc that's going to take a swipe at the character, right? Or the player. And that creates just more excitement because you're just narrating even the combat as well, where the players are imagining this action-packed scene that's unfolding in front of them, right? That's awesome. I love that, right? There are some things to consider, though, if you are especially when it comes to combat. If you do advantage, disadvantage kind of things like that, you can't really utilize those mechanics in Theater of the Mind, because then you have to ask them, hey, where are you positioned? Are you positioned back? Are you behind them?
Like flanking maneuvers.
Flanking maneuvers, right? Because, Dungeons and Dragons, is a war game as well, right? And that's why they always had the graphs and the minis trying to figure out strategic, situations and how you're going to strategically maneuver your players around the mobs or bad guys to make these situations happen or get the advantage or drop on them. So it kind of eliminates that aspect of the more mechanical piece of it.
Or it would take a little bit more work to actually do it.
Yeah.
So a little bit more imagination on the players and DM side, especially for them to kind of keep track of where everybody is at that specific moment. But at the same time, you can just let it be a fluid story. You don't have to use the strategic, bust out the ruler to make sure everyone's at the same exact level, to make sure they're certain distance apart from each other. Maybe just have it as a cinematic scene, like a movie, right? And just do it like that.
Yeah.
So in a movie, you don't have to stop and bust out the ruler and count how many hexes you're away from something, or just make it cinematic. Make it a movie for them. Make it think they're the action stars.
Yeah. And you're not ruining it by just saying, so how far are away from the orc before you shoot your bow? I just want to make sure the distance meets the minimum requirements of that short bow. And, so how far are you away before you shoot it?
I'm out of penalty range. I think I should be sure. Right?
Okay, just making sure, right? So, yeah, get rid of those mechanics, just create a fun, exciting moment utilizing that theater of the mind, that cinematic experience is still viable and creates a great moment for the players. Well, theater of mind is all great and all, but maybe you did want to make it a little bit more strategic, right? Maybe you wanted to emphasize a little bit more of the players utilizing more teamwork and strategically and how they're dealing with encounters in those combat scenarios. Well, let's take it up a notch. Let's say we throw down a grid on the table. Maybe just that. Maybe just had the grid. What does that look like?
That's a very old school method, right? Before we had 3D printed structures and everything, sometimes we just had either a large piece of paper or some kind of cardboard, and we just had it gridded out. And we would take whatever we had, be it minis or cut out little figures, and actually just place them on the board and say, all right, this is where everything's at when we start the battle, and go.
Our little Ninja Turtle action figures.
Whatever it took.
whatever it took.
A couple of pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, whatever we had on hand.
Yep.
Seriously, some Monopoly pieces.
Sure,
From various different board games.
I think, as going as basic as that, then allows you to set yourself up to create that collaborative combat situation for your players to then work together, right? As they're trying to figure out the scenario and where everyone's positioned. Then you can flex in those rules again, right? A little bit of those combat mechanics, the advantage, disadvantage, range, distance for spells and area of effects. And now you can bring some of that in.
But it still allows you to use the creativity of setting the scene with the theater of the mind, right? You're not relying on pictures. You just have a blank board with hexes on it or something, right? So it allows you to still bring a little bit of that. Setting the scene, saying, "Well, you have there's the king as he is a chess piece, and you're like, well, there's the king. He's on his throne, and right behind him is some braziers. Like you can still expand and really set that scene and setting what's actually going on in the environment around you, so the players can still see it in their minds, right? And still be able to enhance that scenario."
Absolutely. Now, knowing that in this situation, the grid is specifically only really used in the combat situations, right? You still utilize theater of the mind for everything else. But when it comes to that combat, you want a little bit of mechanics? Yeah, there you go.
Well, what if we want to start using actual pictures, right? Let's like printed maps, a map of a forest, right? And let that be the imagery that we share with our players, right? Let them see the environment themselves instead of having to stress on the various words to give the scene and talk about, oh, well, there's a river right here and there's trees right here. Well, just show it on a picture, right? So let's bust out the old actual printed map.
I like the printed map. It creates the scene for you, puts a little bit less work on the DM where they don't have to be as descriptive or have pre-set up notes on describing the scene. It's there. You can touch on some things that you want to make sure that your players notice, maybe when you're setting that scene, like little intricate details here and there. But then your players are immersed in the colorful map that they have before them, and they're like, wow, this is the scene we're in. And then kind of go from there.
Yep. And even upgrading the actual tokens and figurines to something that's more complex than just a quarter or a Monopoly piece, right? Now we're busting out either 3D printed orcs or predetermined. I mean, you can order these online, pre-made, pre-painted if you even want. Actual figures. So each hero has a thing that actually represents them and may even look like their character. Something that allows them to see their characters in the battle scene versus just imagining it.
Yeah. I think it also creates a little bit of excitement. They get to handle their own little minis, move their players around, right? So it creates them a little bit more connected to what's going on because they're actually moving it themselves.
Oh yeah, it's about the tactile.
Yeah,
right?
Tactile feel of it.
Yep. You can actually just grab their person and you know what? Like, I'm gonna do this. This is what, so everybody sees. So it's very interesting, very fun.
Absolutely. And we've always talked about the importance of props in a lot of our previous videos. That's props. It's that tactile feel, like you said, right? It just creates that connection between the players and what is going on in this moment. So very important, and it works really well.
Yep. And to expand upon that, there are a little bit better, easier to get now than back in the day, but actual 3D props. Actually now creating three-dimensional things. Like instead of having a picture of a tree, well, how about we actually have a tree sitting right there, right? Now that with the advances of technology, now it's a lot easier to actually acquire some of these things, either having a 3D printer yourself or you can order them online. Various other companies just do 3D printing for you. And having walls, creating walls, a three-dimensional scene, having a castle built up or the multiple rooms built up in front of you so the players can see the expanse of the dungeon to a point, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, you can either order it online, or maybe you're just that really handy, creative person who can kind of build this stuff from scratch. I've seen some amazing things happen online through Instagram, social media, where people are really putting their creative talents to use when it comes to creating these 3D props and models, which is amazing stuff. So if you're that creative and you got the talent to do that stuff, go for it.
I mean, some of these look so good that it's like a movie scene. Like actual professionals were setting up the little miniatures for a movie shot. That's what some of these actually look like. And you know what? As a player, the awe that you get sometimes when you walk into Dungeon Master's, setup and you see this sprawling field in front of you, or this complicated dungeon or castle, or just this area that just makes you, wow, it's just there. It's like, this is something that I've never seen before, or it just gives you, it really puts you in that place, right? Like you don't have to work too hard in the back of your mind for your imagination. You are now in the scene. You're there. You're in that dungeon. I can see the details of a chest. There's the chest right there. And there's the skeleton, the pile of bones where we know there's skeletons hiding in there.
Yeah.
So it really gets to add to the immersion.
And now, of course, the one thing to note is this could be also the most expensive way to go. Unless you're building it yourself, and maybe you can save some money just by cost and materials, but buying all the stuff, now granted, prices, not as bad in the last couple of years. It's gone down, maybe a little up now, but it's an option. Can be a little on the pricey side, but still an awesome experience.
But don't let those other methods we've talked about already seem dimmer than what this option is, right? Because obviously once you create you create this one dungeon, you put all these resources into this one dungeon. Well, once you're done with that dungeon, I mean, well, I'm gonna have to take it apart and put it back together so it looks like a different dungeon, hopefully. So there are limitations to that. Cool, but limited.
There are some companies out there that offer modular type dungeons, which allows you to deconstruct, reconstruct, and kind of customize what you're doing. So definitely look into that if that's something you're interested in. All right, so let's say you don't have the space for all the minis and figurines, and where are you going to store all these modular pieces to build your maps and the setup that you want,
the resources to get them all,
or the resource, maybe it's a little expensive, right, to do all that physical tactile media and content, right? Well, what if we blend in a little bit of digital into our physical game sessions? So let's talk about utilizing digital maps in your in-person session. So what does that look like?
Well, to me, that looks like a projector, maybe, using that to actually project the maps on the table that you play in front of your players. Maybe it's something like a TV. There have been many setups, and you can probably find them online, of people using their televisions to actually display digital maps. Now, it can be done in various different ways. Some mount it on walls as just a visual representation, or some have actually laid it flat on various tables to create a battlefield as you would with any paper map, but have it have the flexibility of switching it up at the touch of a button.
Yeah. And, well, we all have TVs usually that we can use. Projectors, that's a different situation. It's a little bit more of a upfront one-shot cost if you don't already own one. But I've seen actually a lot of cheap projectors on Amazon and different retailers. So it's not too expensive nowadays to get just a small projector because you're just using it for that digital map.
And the prices of TVs obviously have gone down to a lot. You can measure out your table and how big you want this digital map to be and find the exact TV you want for a very low cost.
Yeah. And all you need is just your laptop or computer next to you, hook it up to that TV or projector, and bam, you got maps. You can change it on the fly. It creates versatility. Maybe your players you thought they were going to go and you were prepared for them to go into a temple, but they decided to go into the sewers instead. And now you can play quick, easy, click, click. Oh, there's a sewer map, and boop, there you go. And now you're ready to roll.
Yep. And at the same time, it still allows you to use, if you choose, figurines. Right? Due to the glass surface, if you want to go the route of the TV, the figurines should just be fine to place on top of that map. So you can still have your favorite minis and the players having their personalized characters still be there, and they still have the enjoyment of being able to move it around and placing it where they want. And it gives them a little bit of best of both worlds, I think.
Just set the ground rules to your players. Don't just smash your tokens into the TV. Like, please, gentle, guys, gentle.
Yeah. And don't roll the dice on it, please. But there are actually also various companies that actually sell either a film or a
enclosure, like a box.
Yeah, blocks or a sheeting that you can put, a clear sheeting that you can actually put over it. They have it made from various different materials that you can actually put it over the TV as a protective, but it actually still is clear, so it's see-through. So it actually, you can allow them to do more dice and be a little bit more aggressive with the TV and the tokens, and still protect the TV. So
the only thing to be aware of when it comes to the projector is the lighting. You have to have a really good projector if you're gonna have a lot of ambient light, because unless you make it real dark in your room, but then your players may not be able to read their sheets if it's too dark. So you're kind of like trying to find that balance of a projector that is bright enough where you don't have to make the room too dark. So it's just finding a balance, and you'd have to kind of work with that if you go that route.
Yep. Some people do double projectors, a little bit more pricey up front, but having two projectors going to the same image allows them to lessen the shadows that's created with using a projector, obviously, because if you move your hands in front of it, you will block the image. So
that sounds a little more expensive.
It is, but it is an option, and I have seen people do it.
You can do it. It's just a little more expensive. You're buying two projectors now.
It is an option, though. So even though there is a little bit more upfront cost than just using some paper maps, I think it's more cost effective in the long run due to the fact that it is so easy to just Google different types of battlefields. Like, let's say, hey, I just want a sewer, and you click Google, look for sewer battle maps, and you have a slew of maps to choose from. It allows that versatility, and I think that will save money over time versus actually just printing out paper maps constantly for every scenario and thing that you want to do. And even though we talked about in a previous video, there is the option of actually using digital only, as in a virtual tabletop or VTT, and actually using the various different digital maps and the flexibility they have there, but allow it to be not with your players. So it allows for more long distance games. So let's say if there's a bad storm going on outside, or some members have to be in different towns and they're too far to visit all the time, especially for, a good put together group, maybe just doing it online. Right?
Yep. We've talked in previous episodes about the advantage of doing a virtual game, right? Lots of flexibility. Like as you mentioned, you can have friends, family from wherever in the world. And you all can come together and have some fun.
Nobody can spill the soda on your floor.
You don't have to provide snacks for everybody.
Except for yourself.
True.
But it is an option to think about. Comment down below. Let us know what you do for your players and your setups at home.
If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and don't forget to like and subscribe, as we have a lot more content coming out soon. Until then,
See you next time. I move rock into flanking position.
All right,
I'm gonna roll.
you got my EV surrounded.
I do.
You roll advantage though.
Ah, yes.
All right, 19.
Yep, it's a hit.
All right, that's a hit.
10.
10 damage. All right. Let's see here. I am now gonna move my dragon head behind your rock, and now I will have advantage as well.
Eevee's not facing me.
What are you talking about?
Eevee's facing away.
Okay, Eevee's gonna turn around and face your rock. My dragon and Eevee flank your rock. That's what you get for flanking me. 15, that's a hit. And that's gonna be a D12. 11 damage to your rock.
Ah, rock's dead.
Alright.
Down goes rock. Alright. Millennium Falcon will position and just do a regular hit.
Okay. Sure. That's your ranged attack, isn't it? You're up close, you're gonna take a penalty.
Never mind.
Okay. Alright.
Wait a second. X-Wing. Range attack. I'm going to take a few steps back. X-Wing's going to do a range attack on your flank.
Okay. That's a miss.